Elizabeth, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. I'm Elizabeth Duford with Love 360, and I work with open-minded women who are looking to create more calm, increase their energy, and balance their emotions. And I do that through Reiki and crystal healing. And I'm going to talk a little bit about crystal healing in more depth today. It's something a lot of people don't know very much about. So I'm just going to do a little education and tell a few stories, and then I'd love to answer your questions. So does anybody remember collecting rocks as a kid? Did anybody else do that? Raise your hand if you did. Yeah, well, me too. I loved picking up rocks when I was little, especially when I was exploring the woods. And I would always bring them back home. I had a little makeshift egg carton that I would put my rocks in and try to label them. And I used to especially want to find rocks when we were on trips and vacations because they felt like memories of where we had been. And I was convinced they actually held a little bit of magic from the earth when I was little. And I came to know that rocks, crystals, minerals, and gemstones are ancient reminders of the planet's processes and power, and that they actually hold energy that's resided inside the earth since time began. So it makes sense that when we were kids exploring the natural world, we would somehow know that rocks link us to our planet's history. So like many of us who collected stones as children, people in the ancient world also collected them and believed they held unique powers. Did anyone know that crystals and precious stones have been considered signs of royalty, divinity, beauty, and protection for thousands of years? Did anyone know that? Yeah, it's really cool. In ancient Egypt, Cleopatra actually wore the stone lapis lazuli, which is a beautiful blue stone. It was believed this crystal gave the wearer great strength and leadership, and it was a sign of royalty. It was actually put on the shields and breastplates of her soldiers as well to signify that they were part of her strength and protection. In the Bible story of Aaron's breastplate in the book of Exodus, there are actually 12 precious stones set in gold filigree on that breastplate, and they stood for the 12 tribes of Israel. And it was believed that these stones led to direct communication with God. Native American warriors also used obsidian when crafting their arrows. They used them as the points of the arrows, and they believe that obsidian's energy actually conveyed protection onto those who carried it. The ancient Greeks believed that rose quartz could be used to fight the aging process and bring a youthful glow to the skin. And ancient Greek women actually used to rub rose quartz over their faces as part of their beauty rituals, which is really neat because these days you can actually get rose quartz rollers that you can use on your face, as well as jade and amethyst rollers. So the ancients knew something about the power of these crystals, and we're seeing that come back around today. So why do I tell you these stories about crystals' place in history? Well, because sometimes when I start talking about using crystals to bring protection, peace, and balance into people's lives, people think I'm really out there and it's super woo-woo, but in fact, crystals have been used across the years to support people in this exact way. And I was initially drawn to crystals because they looked pretty, and I have always loved shiny things and adornment and jewelry. But I started learning more about them, and I found I could actually use them to help manage my emotions, enrich my spiritual life, and inspire my creative side. And the results I saw when I spent time meditating with crystals, as well as placing them in specific areas in my house, convinced me that I wanted to integrate them into my professional life. I wanted to share the healing that I had experienced with others. And it really fit in with my professional background, which is actually in social work and counseling. I have a master's in social work from UNC Chapel Hill and have worked primarily with women and children for over 25 years. So now I actually use crystals and Reiki in my work with individuals and families to help them get unstuck from negative thought patterns and old wounds, to increase creativity and spark positive emotions, and to connect more meaningfully with any spiritual practices that they might have. I also offer workshops and classes so people can learn to heal themselves with crystals. And I sell peace pouches, which are, I don't know if you can see that, but they're small bundles of crystals that assist with actually bringing greater calm into your life, more balance, and even abundance and prosperity. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about what the peace pouches do a little later in my presentation. So recently I helped a woman who was grieving the loss of her marriage. She cried every day. She second-guessed her decision to leave her husband despite the fact that he had been emotionally abusive for years. And she feared being alone and became convinced she would never find love again. When she came to me, we were actually able to identify together the places in her body that felt stuck, and to work with crystals and Reiki to shift energy and increase energy flow to those areas of her body. She also began a regular meditation practice to help her with managing her stress, and she would place the crystals that I had sent to her on the various energy centers in her body to assist with deep relaxation. She was so pleased with the progress that she decided to sign up for 2 of my crystal workshops, as well as choosing to pursue her own training in Reiki energy work, which she hopes to use in her career as a clinical counselor. So crystals helped her not only in her personal life, but led her to decide to expand professionally too. They increased her confidence, they gave her more of a sense of peace, and they helped her believe in herself when she had been really struggling to do that after the end of her marriage. And crystals can actually help you too with your small business. I love to work with small business owners since I am one myself, and I well understand the highs and lows that go along with being self-employed. And who among us doesn't struggle sometimes with being inspired, being focused, being creative, coming up with new ideas? That's why I offer what I call my power pouch. So each pouch, actually, this background is making it hard to see, but you get a card in the pouch that tells you about the crystals that are inside it. And I'm going to show you a few of those. If you can see them, this is blue apatite, which is a beautiful stone, amazonite, carnelian, and moonstone. And so these all have special properties that can actually bring more self-confidence, greater integrity, greater connection to your intellectual abilities, inspiration. Having the power pouch is something that can really support you in your goals and manifesting your dreams. So people often ask, what do you actually do with the crystals that come in the pouch? Well, you can use them lots of different ways. You can use them like some of my clients do by placing them on different areas of your body. But you can also carry them with you. You can put the pouch in your purse or carry the crystals in your pocket. For example, if you're going to a big meeting or you have to speak and you want to feel that sense of personal power and inspiration, you can also keep them on your desk where you work, because that's a way to absorb the energy of the crystals while you're going about your day. Excuse me. You can also use crystals to draw wealth and abundance into your life, which is something that we all want more of, right? So there is actually a prosperity corner in every room in your house, and you can place specific crystals in the prosperity corner, and that welcomes just abundant energy into your space. So if you come in, if you are facing the outside of your house, you're facing the front door, your prosperity corner is in the front left of your house. And if you live in an apartment, it would be the same thing. So it's the front left corner of any room that you have in your home, as well as the front left corner just in your house in general. So my front left corner is actually where I have my desk. It's where my office is. And I put it there partially because I knew that was the prosperity corner of my home. And I have a little shelf where I have specific crystals on that shelf to draw that wealth and abundance to me. I also offer a prosperity pouch, which has stones in it that will, they not only increase wealth, but they carry good luck. So that's always something else that we need in our businesses, right? We want to have good luck in our endeavors and good luck in connecting with other people in our communities. One of the things that I offer in each pouch is a stick of Palo Santo. I don't know if you can see this. This is an aromatic wood that originates in Belize. It only grows in Belize, and it is when we use crystals, we want to take good care of them, which means clearing them whenever we've used them. You want to clear them of any heavy or negative energy they might have absorbed in the process, especially if we're working with grief and wounds. We want to make sure that we clear that old gunk and energy out of the crystals that they've absorbed from our body. And so a good way to clear your crystals is doing it with smoke, especially something like sage or other herbs. And Palo Santo is another way to do that. So that's why I include it in each of the peace pouches, along with a little handmade crystal candle that has crystals and herbs that make it smell good. excuse me, I've had COVID and I'm just a little crackly in my voice. So I'm sorry, I keep clearing my throat. So I have another story about a client who actually used the prosperity pouch. She was somebody who had been in one of my crystal workshops, and she had just started a business, having her own yoga studio. After having been a yoga student for many years, she got certified in teaching yoga and had opened her own little studio. And she identified the prosperity corner of her house, of her office, the studio, and put the prosperity crystals in that corner, and actually saw an increase in the number of clients that were coming to try her classes. So that was really cool to hear that story from her. And I think it just really shows how crystals can make a big difference in the energy of your space. So that's something I really recommend, is to look into. You can read more about which crystals go in which room of your house and what they do. You can actually find out some more about that on my website, which I've shared in the chat, but there's lots of other great sites out there that can tell you more about, the kinds of stones that you need in each room of your house. And that's one of the things I cover in my workshops, so that people can learn how to use those in their own homes. So crystals don't just bring things that we want and need. They do bring prosperity and abundance and focus and intellectual stimulation, but they can also help us manage things that are challenging, as I told in the story about my client who was going through a lot of grief and loss. I don't know if any of the rest of you struggle with seasonal affective disorder, or SAD, which is something that a lot of people do struggle with in the darker months. And I actually struggle with it myself. And fortunately, we're getting into these longer days and more light, which I'm really excited about. But during the winter, I've always struggled with figuring out how to take care of myself to manage the SAD. And I actually offer a positivity pouch with stones in it that bring positive energy, release negative emotions, just help manage energy, so that when I'm feeling sluggish and distracted, the stones in my positivity pouch really help. And even if you don't struggle with SAD specifically, many of us feel increased stress and anxiety at this time because of the pandemic, because, it's the first quarter of the year. And sometimes for those of us in small business, that can be kind of a slow time. And that's anxiety provoking. We might be recovering from the holidays, when we worked really hard to finish out the year strong as business owners, or when we had to deal with family that were stressful. We might still be having some after effects of that. So I just really encourage everybody to think about how you can take care of yourself to kind of reground and refocus and get ready for the year as a small business owner, and just as a woman, because we know as women, we often have to juggle so many different balls in the air. Whether it be business, children, household, caring for aging parents, etc. That all falls on us. Another pouch that I offer is a peaceful pouch, which eases worries. And it's actually a visual reminder to stop and take some deep breaths and just reground yourself. You can carry those stones with you as you move through your workday to increase your calm. But I also recommend them for restful sleep. There's a lot of data that shows that people have been struggling more and more with insomnia during the pandemic. And I have certainly found that to be true. So, I highly recommend keeping specific stones next to your bed when you sleep, or even under your pillow. They can help with relaxation and rest. I actually have a client who works nights, and so her sleep patterns are often really disturbed. And she was struggling with two different issues. One was her own sleep and being able to fall asleep after a night shift and sleep well. But also, while she was gone at night, one of her daughters was really struggling with separation anxiety and was worried about her mom, because her mom works in healthcare. And so, of course, her daughter was hearing all these stories about people in healthcare getting sick because of COVID. And so those two things were really stressing my client out. She was worried about her little girl, and she was not getting enough sleep herself. So was feeling like she didn't have the energy to manage the situation with her family very well and then function well at work. So I actually created an individual prescription for this family with some stones for the mom to help her sleep better and get, just feel calmer when she was at home so that she could get real rest. And then I gave some crystals for her daughter to actually keep in her room that would help her feel more connected to her mom. So that was really cool to be able to help the whole family with the sleep issue that was going on. And they're doing a lot better now, which I always love those stories the best when I get that feedback from clients who have needed help to move through some things. So, you know, if any of these scenarios sound like you, or you want to learn more about them, you know, I offer my one-on-one sessions, I offer group classes and workshops, and obviously I sell the peace pouches individually. So, you know, I'd love to talk more to people about how crystals and gemstones can help you in your life, in your relationships, and in your business. I offer complimentary 20-minute energy sessions so we can explore some of the things that might be causing stress and anxiety in your life. And I really want to help people achieve that greater balance and abundance. So I'm here to help you and your family and friends. I'd love to answer any questions too. And yeah, welcome to Love 360. I'd love to work with you and hear more about what your questions are.
Hey, Elizabeth. First of all, excellent presentation, super fact-packed. So you sort of hinted around, and I wanted to kind of just ask you directly. It sounds like you're using feng shui knowledge and crystal knowledge in a combined way. Is that correct, or am I off here?
No, that is absolutely correct. Yes, there is feng shui mixed in. I often, you know, help clients with identifying, you know, the different areas of their house. If you know what a Bagua map is,
Yeah.
It tells you, you know, where the different energy that's going on in each room, which room stands for family, which room stands for love, which room stands for prosperity, which room stands for, you know, all these different parts of your life, which room has the best luck. And then, you know, you would place different stones in those different rooms that correspond with those issues. So people always say, like, don't have the bathroom in your prosperity corner because you'll be flushing wealth down the toilet all the time. So I always think that's funny. And of course, we can't control most of the time where our bathroom is unless we're building our house from scratch. But there are stones you can actually put in your bathroom that will help prevent the waste of money going down your toilet. So yes, feng shui is definitely integrated into what I do.
Well, I think that's super cool because that's also ancient wisdom, you know, combined with the
Yes,
ancient wisdom of the stones. So it seems like a good
absolutely.
cocktail.
Yes, I think it's a great cocktail. Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
So Erin says her bathroom is in the finance corner.
Oh no.
That sounds like a shitty predicament. Ha ha
Ha, shitty.
Yeah,
It's funny.
I know.
And I have to say rose quartz because I wear my rose quartz.
Mm.
I mean, it happens to be my favorite, but